Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Victor. This is Jack. Let's talk Israel-Palestine.
Okay, so I'm going to pitch you this idea.
Okay.
A conspiracy of sorts. It doesn't sound too far off, but maybe logically you can destroy it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to break down the exact situation. Okay, there's this attack. Hamas is in Gaza Strip. Gaza Strip's 5 miles by 25 miles, 2.1 million people, 40% children, almost a million, and they're fortified, blocked in there, There's been a barricade. I'm losing my voice a little bit, but there's been a barricade for years and years and years now,
Is it like completely surrounded by the state of Israel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they've been barricaded in there. Like you could leave if you have like a work visa or something, but you can't just meander out. It's been called an open air prison or a concentration
That's what I was
camp.
thinking. It really is that type of.
And I'm not trying to make a moral judgment there,
Yeah.
because sure they did things that this happened for, but they did those because of, I'm not really trying to go into that. That's not where I'm going with this. So anyways, now here's the scenario. Okay. It's the 50-year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War.
Okay.
So 50 years ago, Israel was handed a defeat in battle. And it's the 50th anniversary. So we're on high tensions.
So this year, or like in the last couple of weeks, like it's to the day?
To the day, I believe.
Oh, wow.
It might be the year, and I might be wrong on that.
Okay.
I should have double-checked that. But anyways, now Hamas runs Gaza.
Okay.
They were voted in. The PLO was voted out. We immediately just went and shut down everything and locked them down because, you voted for Hamas. Well, we wanted them to. It was, whatever. So anyways, they're locked in there, and they haven't been being violent.
Okay.
They haven't been doing attacks, So here's what happens. They launch between 2,000 and 2,500 rockets immediately, right? As they fly over their own wall, the Israeli wall, during the daytime with motorized paragliders and hang gliders, unmotorized, It says once the fight. This is from Reuters. Just a little quote for you. Once the fighters on hang gliders were on the ground, they secured the terrain so an elite commando unit could storm the fortified electronic and cement wall built by Israel to prevent infiltration. So they're busting out.
Okay, so this is the wall that's separating the strip from the rest of Israel.
Yeah, they're busting out. The fighters used explosives to breach the barriers and then sped across on motorbikes. Bulldozers widened the gaps, and more fighters entered in four-wheel drives, scenes that witnesses described. That's from Reuters. Link in the description of the reference. Okay?
Okay, very interesting.
So this happens. There's paragliders just flying around out there. I showed you some little clips before, because he hasn't seen much of this on the news. And they're like at a rave, and you can see them coming in the background, you know? And then they're, of course, machine gunning down people. Anyways, so this happens. 2,000, 2,500 rockets. There's people flying across the thing. It's daylight. There's an explosion at the thing. How long do you think it takes for the IDF, the military of Israel, to respond?
I mean, I feel like it should be pretty fast. It's not a giant. Israel isn't a giant place.
It's the size of New Jersey, about.
Yeah, so I feel like they should be there in minutes. 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
Okay. It was originally reported 6 hours. But then it went to, I think it was New York Times. I'm going to look for the reference, but it's 9 hours.
And we're talking like this is the first time any military anything showed up to this?
Yeah, they just didn't do anything.
Okay.
Because they're going to go out there and get kidnap people and drive them back through the hole in the wall.
Right.
The wall that Israel guards.
Right.
They're just going to, guards. They're just going to drive them back in.
Okay. So they want it to happen.
Israel?
Yeah, clearly.
Is that what you said?
It seems like it.
Okay. Just if you take that 6 to 9 hour, if you said there was a 1 hour response time, just to make sure all the kidnapped people can get back in. So they have this thing. I forget if it's a Hannibal or a Cannibal, but they've got this this military strategy. And it is, if they've got a soldier, an IDF soldier, who's a captive, who's in a vehicle being sped back to enemy territory, they are to blow that vehicle up to make sure that that IDF soldier dies, their own soldier.
Oh, wow.
Because that one soldier as a prisoner is so valuable because we want him back. You say you want 2,000 prisoners. What if we could talk more like less than 100? And they're like, we'll go down to 1,000 because, do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So if we just murder that person, it's a different morality. If we're talking
Okay.
about the Hebrew or Jewish morality, it's totally different than ours.
Right.
But, you know,
But,
anyways,
but why is that the motivation to wait 6 hours? They didn't want to risk losing people to
no, I'm
Hamas?
saying that makes it even more unbelievable that they waited that long. Because
Oh,
they should have
okay.
had planes just blowing up anything
seems
trying to
like
get
it.
back into Gaza,
Yeah.
regardless of what it was. By their own strategy, not by my morality. Because there is a video of a teenage girl being pulled out of a thing as the guy's Allah Akbar because he captured her. I don't want them to blow her up, but by their own strategy. And that
Okay.
strategy is only for IDF forces.
Okay.
It's not necessarily for the civilians like the teenage girl I'm talking about. But let me tell you another situation that's going on in Israel, okay?
Okay.
Bibi Netanyahu has realized that the system's broke.
The system being
Israel's government
okay.
in this instance, okay? So he's trying to rewrite the Constitution as he reforms the judiciary.
Okay.
So imagine you have a judiciary who you feel has too much power, and you as the prime minister want to take their power away. It's a tough road to walk.
Right.
It's tough because like if you have separation of powers, none of them wants to relinquish power. Are you the tyrant?
Right.
Whether you're the judiciary, the legislature, it doesn't matter, you know? So there's basically massive protests in Israel that's been going on for like weeks and weeks, you know?
Against him, what he's trying to do.
Yeah, there was literally a protest scheduled for the week after this happened, and tens of thousands of people were going to be out in the street,
Okay.
you know? And so some have hyperbolically said that they were on the verge of civil war. That's a little hyperbolic, you know what I mean? But it was not politically stable, we'll say.
Okay.
And then you have just other stuff going on. Do you see about the Eritrean? Okay, there were the Eritreans and there were Africans, you know? It's a
Okay.
place. And they come in and they're like, well, you know, we want refuge, you know? And then they're like, well, we'll put you in prisons, you know? So they put them in prisons. More come. And then it's like, oh no, we need to have a gang battle, you know? And like right in the streets, it's wild. I just sat there watching it like, what the heck?
But who needs to have a gang battle
The Eritreans.
amongst themselves?
Yeah, in Israel.
Oh.
So you got like 100 people on this side with blue shirts on and 100 people with red shirts, and they're not Crips and Bloods. They're supporting, I forget which parties in their own country. And they're doing rocks and just everything around them turning third world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have sticks that they beat each other with, but they throw the sticks at each other. So the other guy has your weapon. It just is, and you're just looking at like, what country am I looking at? No, it's Israel. So I'm just saying there's some instability there, right?
Okay.
How much instability is there right now, do you think?
Since all this went down,
Since it's their 9/11, yes.
I'm guessing they've just locked everything down.
No, but it's fully stable now.
Oh, it is.
Everybody says Israel, rah, rah, rah. It's 9/11.
Oh, it's a unifying.
It's a unifying
attack.
thing.
Okay.
Now it's like the lives of our women and children, terrible things being done to them and kidnapped is more important than our arguments about the judiciary.
Oh, and he's going to slip through a Patriot Act on them and just.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I'm trying to put all these facts together into a
Sure.
coherent conspiracy theory, you know?
Yeah.
And that's basically like all the facts that I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Now I'm going to present my theory based on no facts other than the ones I've given you.
Okay.
And if you've got facts that dispute this, put
Yeah.
them. This is just conjecture here.
Sure.
So look, how did they think that this was a good idea, Hamas?
Like, what is the long-term strategy?
Right. So killing Jews, okay, you did that.
Okay. But this isn't going to help your position.
They're just going to level you.
Right.
There's literally people in our government, like senators, saying they should eradicate them. You know,
The Palestinians?
the Palestinians. Yeah.
Okay. But I feel like they've, all of a sudden, there's way more people than there were a couple of weeks ago saying that they're not fans of Jews.
Are there?
I just.
Oh, I don't have that sentiment.
Oh, really? You think it's just everyone is anti-Palestine?
No. Okay. So there is some of that, but they were the same people from before.
Oh, okay. You
They're
don't
the
think numbers-
pro-Palestinian crowd.
Okay.
You know, in France, in your French Bible, you open it and like when you're looking at the map, it says Palestine. It doesn't
Okay.
say Israel because they're so pro-Palestine that they print it in their
Wow.
Bibles on the color map in the back. Some people are and some people aren't. France is, Palestinians, you know.
Interesting.
But imagine this. What scenario could get this to happen?
What could convince Hamas to do this?
Against their own self-interest, seemingly to do jihad, right?
Right. I have no idea.
So here's my pitch, right?
Okay.
Civil war-ish stuff is going on.
Okay.
The Mossad, their secret service, intelligence service, goes to Hamas and says, you know what we need? We need to fix this whole problem. The problem is Bibi Netanyahu. We've got to get him out of power. In order to do that, we can do the coup if you destabilize the country with this big attack.
Oh.
Where did they get all these motorized paragliders?
Right.
Now there's all different theories out there, because basically, like, they're catching the Hamas people and they're like, well, you've got made in the USA guns, you know? And the theory that the Mossad, Israel is pitching is this: Ukrainian soldiers who surrendered to Russia, Ukrainian soldiers using made in USA weapons, turned them over to the Russians, who slipped them down to Hamas, and so the Russians are behind this.
Of course.
I don't know if Russia cares about any of this. It's not their region.
And for it to be in, like you described, it's such a benefit to Israel that this happened.
Right. And it's far more likely that the Afghanis gave them to them, because they have all of our weapons in Afghanistan. Yeah. So, and Ukraine's selling a bunch. So it's not unreasonable that Iran wouldn't buy them. No, Iran backs Hezbollah. They're kind of in on Hamas. But anyways, so imagine the Mossad goes to him, right, and says, hey, you do this, destabilize the country, we'll do a coup on Bibi Netanyahu, you know?
Okay.
And then this is how you're going to do it, blah, blah, blah. Because somebody in the Israeli government has to do the stand down. Otherwise, this whole plan doesn't work. Plan doesn't work. If you're like on your way, you're like driving your pickup truck, you got hostages in the back, and you're on your way back, and then just gunships just come down right in front of you. It's over.
Right.
You've got to have, they were attacking Israeli military bases, the paragliders.
Okay.
They attacked their southern base in Gaza. And the reason why there was no military response is because they jammed their communications. The people in Gaza jammed Israel's military communications.
But the people that are at the military base can see they're under attack, and they didn't go jump in their choppers and jets and...
No, they were fending off paragliders. Because a guy dropped, he flew over, wait for it, dropped a minor explosive down a thing. I don't know what this thing is, a radar thing or something. It says, got him. You know what I mean? They got to, how can they battle this? How can they fight this?
Right.
No human being could prevent this.
Overwhelming technological advantage they had.
Anyways, yeah, that's another thing, is the quality of their military. You know, and I'm not saying it's the very best in the world, but it's not bad.
Yeah, right.
It's not low grade. Let me tell you a story about the people they're fighting, okay?
Who's they?
The Israelis and the Arabs. The Arabs.
Okay.
There was this battle. It was the 6-day war.
Okay.
This is a silly story, right? But they're basically like, Israel has defined the terms like, we're on this hill. Don't go in this valley. You're on that hill. That's your land. This is our land. Stay away. Cool. That's fine. Everybody's fine with that. That's the border. So they dig a huge trench in the middle. The Israelis do.
Okay.
We don't ever want to pass this trench because we're cool. We don't need your Sinai or, you know what I mean, at the moment. And we'll see after the war about Golan Heights and Sinai and so on. Anyways. And then it's like, so they're going to have to come down in their tanks. They're going to have their engineers come out, build some type of bridge while they're under fire. Israeli tanks have longer range. These are the old Soviet tanks on the 6-day war time. You can put artillery behind that hill and just be pre-designated, just shell in that trench, you know? So it's like, it's time to attack, go. And they just drive, all the tanks, clunk, clunk. They just drive into the trench. Did you have a different plan? Did you you know what I mean? Did you forget to wake up the engineers?
Right.
These are the people they're fighting, you know?
Okay. I'm just picturing them like filling up the trench with tanks, and then they can drive over the other tanks.
Yeah. And in this case, I'm talking about Egypt, and Hamas is not Egypt. You know?
Right.
I'm just talking about the Arabs aren't known for being incredibly good at fighting.
Okay.
You know, I can't think of a time in modern history, we'll say. Anyways, I just doubt they could pull this off without help. So then the Mossad goes to them, pitches that, right? We could do training. We could help you with anything, you know? And then they go to carry out their end. And then now it's used like Bibi, like the Mossad's working for Bibi, you know, Netanyahu.
Okay.
Because he needs to solidify the country. And everybody loves an excuse to go to war.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're Israel, not if you're Palestine.
Well, actually, everybody loves to go to war. They just need the excuse.
Right.
That's really,
if you're in the dominating position.
Right.
So Palestine would want to not do this because they're going to be dominated unless they like that, you know? But a little joke. But I'm just saying, do you know what I mean?
So you're saying the pitch that they gave Hamas was actually fake, that they're actually doing this?
Well, they will help them do the stand down. but there will be no coup.
There is no coup. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
It's
Because there's like a lot of Arabs in the government and stuff, and you could just think like maybe if you could just get Netanyahu out of there, you know?
right. Okay.
And so it would
Okay.
be Israel helping Hamas kill Israelis so that they could kill more Palestinians. It's a sacrifice.
Right.
It's the 9/11.
It totally
It's
is.
their
Yeah.
9/11, but it's just a copy of our 9/11.
Right. You did it to yourself.
And it's like another story that makes this really reasonable is after when Israel was formed in the 40s, you know, and they wanted all the Jews to come home, and it was in Iraq, I believe, and all the synagogues started getting like death threats, you know,
right. Yeah.
And then one blew up, then another one blew up, and they're like, quick, we got to get out of here, all the Jews, quick, back to Israel. It was Jews. It was hardline Jews threatening, then blowing up other Jews,
Right.
because the greater good was it was going to be a demographic contest in Israel, and sacrificing children of our neighbors it's a different morality,
Right.
you know. And so when you look from their morality and you see is my conspiracy plausible?
It seems like it.
What else could it be? Like explain it away.
I can't work it out,
It would have to be the IDF is incredibly incompetent.
which is hard to buy.
They were all drunk. They were all stoned. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What else could there be?
Right.
Like, I just have to imagine in the United States, there are contingencies for everything.
Totally.
There are weird names for stuff. If paratroopers start coming out of stealth C-130s, like there's a contingency.
someone's thought about it.
It's called Blue Label Dagger or something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's got to be, right?
It seems like it. But even, just we're under attack. You just mobilize troops and go. You know, I mean, you don't even need a contingency, but they didn't even do that. They didn't do the bare minimum
Right.
in response.
And it's like, when those rockets are firing, right? And they're like, you know, you watch the video, they're like firing from one position. They're like, you know, the rockets are going up. You can see some hang gliders, paragliders just going in the picture with the rockets. Okay, but Israel's defenses should be looking right now at that position. We're trying to zero in on that position. We're trying to figure out, you know, is it a mobile launcher? Is it? Wait, I can't see. Oh, is that a paraglider flying by? Oh, another one. You know, what I mean, it's blocking my view here. What's going on here? Just ignore it. It's just so silly, right?
It's ridiculous. How did they get through the wall? Just all of it with no one being alerted.
Yeah, and nobody comes and plugs that. They don't got contingencies for that. You've literally got construction equipment in there, bulldozers. It said, beep beep. You know what I mean? Pushing.
Yeah.
Insane.
It is insane.
Yeah. And so I would say there's no explanation for this stuff.
No reasonable besides Israel doing it to themselves.
Right. And anytime there's a thing like this, like a 9/11, don't fall for the next thing. So what I mean is the next thing could be a war in Afghanistan, a war in Iraq. Don't let them do the next thing. They'll kill their own people. Our government will do it. Their government will do it. I can't promise you that that's what happened here, but it seems likely.
Right.
We know in 9/11 what happened, or what most likely happened. Gulf of Tonkin, just run down the list, all the things, you know? And they do these things so that you will consent. They're manufacturing consent for the next thing and just say no to that.
Right.
Right? You should be against it. Even if you love Israel, even if you hate Palestinians, you should not be consenting to them doing what they're about to do.
Right.
Nor is it good that Palestine did that, but
right, yeah, totally.
They're using that to try to get you to approve of the next thing. Right. Don't approve.
I agree 100%.
Okay, that's what I got.
All right. So what are your thoughts on this? It's a little out there, but yet when you break down the facts and the history of it, it's pretty plausible. And it's the most reasonable explanation that I can think of. So if you can totally blow this out of the water, we'd love to hear it. We'd also love to hear if does this make sense to you based on everything you know? Break this down for us. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you next time.